Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. In this video here, we're going to be doing another Global War 1936 to 1945 expansion set. This one is called Deutsche Afrikakorps, and it's a pretty cool set, and you'll see that my set's going to be even cooler than the one you have, but there's nothing you can do about that. But it is a pretty cool set though, so let's just get into it, okay? First of all, let's see what you're going to get in this set. Okay, so this is what you're going to get from Historical Board Gaming there. Let me just zoom in on that. So you're going to get the mustard yellow pieces. These would be the Axis minor pieces. And in this one here, they're also introducing the self-propelled artillery. I know that's going to be in the next version of the Global War game. I was just talking with Doug about that yesterday. So they're going to be putting those into the rules and everything. You can already find rules online, like in this video or in here. You can find how to use them. But basically, what it is an artillery that goes two spaces. Anyway, this is what you get with the set. You also get a German transport, and they didn't make that one mustard yellow. They just made that one just the normal German black. And you get 5 armor markers, and I'll show you why you need those later. But I won't be using these, except for the armor markers and the transport. I'm not going to be using these pieces because if you've seen a video that I put out a while ago, I have these pieces. So this is what my friend Sireblood has said to me. I won a contest. I think I was second place. He had two prizes, and I won second place. And this is his custom painted pieces. So anyway, I'm lucky enough that I get to use these. So you look at them; they're painted pretty nicely. He's one of the best painters out there. And it's almost identical what I have here to what's over there. I don't have the self-propelled artillery, but I do have heavy tanks. And this isn't everything. Like, I've got more of this. Like, you can see he even put mud on the bottom of the tank and mud in the tracks and everything. He's really good at painting, that's for sure. But and also I got the anti-aircraft guns, the 88s, and the aircraft as well. So this is just a fraction of what I've got. There's a lot more of these pieces, but I don't know that I'll need more of these pieces, because if you're putting everything you have down in Africa, then there's not going to be much left in Europe, right? So like you can only spend so much money down in Africa, and it's only worth so much, right? Like you wouldn't want to move your whole army down there just for the few dollars that it's worth compared to Europe. So, but it would be nice to do that. Like in the limited time that I've played this game, I've noticed that the British and the French eventually take over Africa, and it's not even close after that. Let's zoom out of this again. So before I move on in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the Africa and the Med, because it's important to see what it looks like. Because it'll be easier to explain how to play it. So I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. So I've got it all set up. I didn't set up everything. Like, I didn't set up the Spanish over here. That they're of no consequence. And I didn't set up the minor powers down over here, and the Turks, because that doesn't really apply to what we're doing here either. I mean, all of these things will have a factor in the game that you're playing, but as far as what we're doing with the Deutsche Afrikakorps, and more specifically how to get them to Africa, they're not a part of it. But I did set up the Italians because they're a part of it, and I set up the British down there, and I set up the French. With the French over here, I only set them up as they're in the way, like the ones that you see over in Western France and in the capital in Paris there. That would be taking the long way around. Now, the real challenge here is, how do you get all those troops down to Africa? And we'll just take a look down and see what's down in Africa down there. This is the 1936 setup, and you won't be going down there until you are at war with a major power. You're not allowed to implement this scheme until then. So it's going to change, right? Things are going to shake down a bit. Britain will definitely be stronger down there, because that's a very important place right there, where you see Egypt and Cairo. They may have a factory spot down there by now. They'll certainly be built up. There'll be more boats probably. I'm guessing, like the games that I've seen, that's what it's been. But at the same time, they may have taken their boats and sailed off to India or sailed up to the UK. I'm not sure, right? But it's not going to look the same. And as far as France goes, because you're going to be at war with a major power, it could be that you've taken over Paris by now. And if that's the case, then that might have changed down there as well. Like you don't know who's going to be owning these French territories right here. And North Africa is really where it matters because you need to get to North Africa. The only way to get there is through the Mediterranean. You're not allowed to go around. You have to go through the Mediterranean. So let's just get right into the rules here, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so let's take a look here. You've seen the front page. On the second page, it's just got some cool pictures there. I'll try to get the glare off for you. It says the Deutsche Afrikakorps was the German expeditionary force sent to assist Italian forces in North Africa. In this set, we provide German units in Africa Corps mustered, as well as rules for easily transferring Dutch Afrikakorps units across the Mediterranean. So that's really the big thing is they're showing you, changing the rules for you basically to help you get your units across from there. And then the next page they just list what's in the set here. Okay, so this is where it starts here. Formation of the Afrikakorps. It says Germany may form the Afrikakorps during its production phase so long as it is at war with a major power. Germany pays 5 IPPs and replaces the following units with mustard colored DAC, that's Dutch Afrikakorps units provided in this set. So you can go up to 3 infantry. You don't have to move 3 infantry down, but you can go up to 3 infantry, up to 1 motorized infantry, up to 2 artillery of any type. So that can be your regular artillery, or it could be that self-propelled artillery, right? And then up to 2 light armor, or 1 light armor and 1 medium armor. So 1 small tank and 1 medium tank. Let me just grab $5 here. So what they're saying is you have to replace units that are already in Germany. And I just put this in here because I haven't set up the Germans. And this is the maximum number of troops that they're saying that you can take down there. So these troops here will be in various places in Germany here. They're not sitting on a coaster, okay? They're somewhere. And so what you say, okay, I'm going to take the dude, excuse me, the dude from here, and a dude from over here, and a dude from here, and the artillery from here, and an artillery from Germany. And like you get all of those guys. You say these guys here, and you pay $5. Here, let's turn that right side up. Then you pay $5 on your on the production phase, and then you will replace these. So you'll take all of these units off of the board, and you will replace them in the same place that they were with these units. Okay, these are the Afrikakorps units. Like I put this one here, like you will be using these units, right? The mustard colored ones. I'm using these ones, so I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so you've done that that's the first part. You paid $5 and you've switched your units over. Now during your turn, the combat phase and combat and non-combat phase, the first 2 phases are you're not going to want to touch those units. You're just going to leave them where they are. You've switched them over. They're just going to sit there. So then for transferring them, Germany must then attempt to transfer these units to North Africa during non-combat movement. These units must follow a Lend-Lease supply path as if they were being Lend-Leased from their current location. The units can only move across sea zones in the Mediterranean and end their move when they reach a territory with a friendly naval base. All Afrikakorps units must go to the same location. So you can't spread them out across North Africa. They all have to go to the same location. But first you have to establish a supply path down to North Africa. And remember, you're going to be at war, and there's going to be more units on the board, and things have gone to change hands. So probably one thing that's going to happen is you're going to own this territory here. among others. But I mean, the first or second territory that you even take is going to be Austria. So that's going to be helpful because you need to get to Italy here. You need to get to a naval base or a shipyard like these ones, right? Because those are what you're going to use to get down to Africa. So we look here, and like if it wasn't for Austria, then you couldn't do it because because you've got Switzerland anyway. Now you might have taken out France by then because you have to be at war with a major power, and no doubt one of those major powers that you're at war with would be France, right? When you're at war with France, you're also at war with Britain. But so those are probably the powers that you're going to be at war with, is France and Britain. Now, first of all, you'd have to like if you've taken out Paris, then you would have to this would become Vichy probably, unless you opted not to make them Vichy and just leave them all regular French, right? I don't know how that would turn out. I'd like to see that happen sometime, to see what happens when you do that. But it's likely that you'll turn that into Vichy France, and so you won't be able to go through there because they're a neutral country, or maybe you can. I don't know. I'll have to check on that, but I don't. If you know, then please comment in the comment section. I don't think that you'd be able to lend lease through here, through Vichy France, but you might be able to because Germany controls them. But you can certainly go through one of these ports here, and like I said, you will no doubt have Austria when you do this. The problem is going to be, and let's just move down to the other side. Let's move this coaster down there. And let's move down to the other side. We'll just walk around the table here. So when you're looking at North Africa down here, you'll see that you don't have a friendly naval base down here. If you have captured Paris and you've made this Vichy France, then you're rolling for these territories. So this is either going to be Vichy, or it's going to be Free France. And either way, you're not going to be able to land there, right? Because maybe you could use it as a supply path to go through Marseille. I'm not sure, but you definitely wouldn't be able to enter those places, like to stay there. And I'm pretty doubtful that you could even go through Marseille. So that's not going to be an option. Britain's not going to let you land over here, that's for certain, at this naval base, right? And Italy doesn't have a naval base down here. So obviously you're going to have to build a naval base because for one thing, like it says, it has to be through the Mediterranean. So that means, and you will be at war, and no doubt you'll be at war with Britain, so you won't be able to go through the Suez Canal, and you won't be able to reach this naval base in Somaliland because that's outside of the Mediterranean, so you can't go through there. You will have to go to North Africa. And there's only 2 existing naval bases, neither of which you own, unless the Italians have taken over Cairo, in which case maybe you don't even need to go down there with your German forces. It looks like the Italians have things well in hand down there, right? So that's probably not a likely scenario either. You won't have that. You won't have this base unless the Italians come over here and take this base out, take this spot out, like if it rolled Free French, and then the Italians went down and attacked it and took it out. Well, there you go. On Germany's turn, then you could move your units down through one of those shipyards and down. As long as it's not blockaded down here, then they could come through here and you would drop all of your units in there. Or the other thing is, of course, that you would probably build a naval base right here for the Italians, and that's going to cost you, what does a naval base cost, $10 or something like that? Let me just check here. 4, 3, and 3, so yeah, $10, and it takes 3 turns to build. So that's an option as well, either capturing one of the naval bases or the Italians building a naval base. One way or another, you're going to have to build a naval base down here, and that's just establishing the supply path. Okay, so then after that, we have to go to the next part. Italian transports. Germany may place transports if it purchases adjacent to Italian naval bases, so long as they are connected to a German major factory via an undamaged rail line. A maximum of 2 transports per game may be placed in this way. So that's why they give you the transport, right? And you can see up here that if you do have Austria, and likely you will, then you could place your German transport either here or here. So those German units that you put down there, you could actually move more down there, and you can put up to 2 transports, and you can put it in either side. It's up to you, right? But the thing is, you got to be careful too, because the British will probably have a strong navy down there. The French will have some boats for sure, or not for sure, but they'll have a couple boats. So you got to be careful where you put it. The Italians are stronger than the British right now, but by the time all this happens, the British might be stronger than the Italians, and that's fairly likely actually. So then what's next? It's not that easy though, because there's also interdiction, as there is in any type of lend-lease, right? So each unit being transferred is subject to an interdiction die roll, so long as there is at least one enemy warship, submarine, warship or submarine in anywhere in the Mediterranean Sea. That's Sea Zone 49 to 53. So basically all of the Mediterranean here. If there's any type of enemy warship or submarine in there, then it's going to be subject to interdiction. Or there's an enemy aircraft on Malta, and this is Malta right here, where this spot is. And this is not that easy to take out, because you've got the fortification down there. You could do it, but you've got to remember there'd be an aircraft on there if you were planning on taking it out. So you roll a D12 unit for each unit being transferred, and on 11 to 12 that unit is destroyed. So all of these units down here, right here, that you want to bring down, let's say you do, let's just put a naval base on Tripoli here. Let's say they bought this naval base here. So then you would roll a D12 for every unit you brought down. And what did I do with my dice? Oh, I gotta grab my dice here. Okay. So then you just pick yourself a unit. Okay, this dude, and you roll the dice, and that's a 5, so he's okay. So he lands in Tripoli. Okay, the next dude, he's 11, so that dude dies. 11 or 12, he dies, right? Another dude, and that's a 9, so he's okay. So then let's go for the light tank here. A 4, so he's okay. And then we got the medium tank. Oh, that's an 11, that's not good. That's our best unit, and we lost it. Okay, then the motorized infantry, and that is a 1, so that's good. So he moves down to Tripoli. And then we've got the, lost one of the artillery and got one of the artillery. So we ended up losing 3 units there. And unfortunately, there were 2 of them were good units as well, especially that medium tank. So there is some risk in bringing them down. It's not as though you just get to fly them down on a coaster like I did, right? They are subject to that interdiction. And then of course after that you can use the transport. But like they were saying there, when it tells you what you can bring down, you bring up to 3 infantry and up to 1 motorized infantry. Like, you don't have to bring your medium tank down, right? If you're worried about rolling 11 or a 12, then you can decide to put it on a transport or not even bring a medium tank down. It's up to you, right? So that's something to think about. So then the next part of this is armor markers, and that's these markers that I had right here. So here they are right here. Let's just put them in the Sahara, and these are all armor markers. So what happens with those is you put it underneath the units. So there's light panzers and there's regular panzers. This is a panzer, this is a panzer, here's a light panzer. So we've got a light tank here, so we put this guy on here, right? Now, how those work is that they can retreat even if they are the defender. So let's say that they're in this space over here. Let's move these guys back. So let's say they're in there, and the British decide to attack, and they roll and they miss. Well, the guy, instead of shooting back, he can just say, I'm going to retreat. So that's what these tokens give you. Because Rommel, he was the guy leading the forces in Africa. He was pretty good at doing that, and that's why they give you this option just for this Afrikakorps down there. Okay, so next part. Okay, the self-propelled or artillery. Let me just grab that piece back there. So that's these things here. Now, if you're using those, it's attack 3, defense 3. It costs 5, and it moves 2 spaces. And it's got first strike, and they'd have to remove their units. Like if you hit somebody on the first strike, then they have to remove it before the next round of rolling. So like when all artillery roll, he rolls with the artillery, just because that's what he uses, artillery. It doesn't say anything about pairing 1-to-1, but I would have thought that you could pair those. But it doesn't say anything about pairing them, because as you know, when you're attacking, you can pair artillery 1-to-1 with infantry class unit, but it doesn't say anything about that here. So I'm not sure if you could do that or not. Anyway, that's everything. That's the whole Dutch Afrikakorps. So the obvious advantage to doing all this would be that you have a presence down here in Africa. Like I said, I've played this game a couple times in Africa. Italy held out as long as they could, but eventually the Allies just take over down there because they have more units. And Germany, the biggest problem is there's just no way for them to get down there. It would take them quite a while to do that if you're not allowed to place your transports in there. The last game I played, my opponent, who ranked Carcass, who was playing Germany, he decided to attack Marseille after it was Vichy, just so he could get that shipyard, so he could put ships there. And then I took it back when he was about to place the ships on the next turn. So it kind of screwed him out of putting German ships in the Mediterranean. It's really hard to get German ships in the Mediterranean. So this is, they're giving you a chance to put 2 German transports in the Mediterranean. That's really what you need. You don't really need all those other things. You just need the transports to get the units down. But you are going to need some cover with the Italian warships as well. So you have to play that just right. Anyway, that's the Deutsche Afrikakorps. So thanks for joining me here today. Take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.